Hi, I'm Julie McCluskey, Director of Communications and Community Engagement for Summit School District. And I'm here today with another Summit School District Spotlight, talking about behavioral and mental health in our schools, as well as Suicide Prevention Month. And I'm joined today with two of our school psychologists, Lizzie Savage and Kate Bateman. And I think probably best to start talking about what a school psychologist does in our schools, what that means for students, and what that means for families. So Lizzie, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, why you're in this field, a little about your background, and the students you're serving.
Absolutely. So I am a new Summit County resident.
Yay!
Yeah. I just moved up here a month ago. It's my first year working as a school psychologist in the schools. Very, very excited. I graduated from the University of Denver.
Great.
Finished up my internship in Littleton, Colorado, and kind of got into this job because I love working with kids. I've always been that person that growing up with my friends, like trying to solve their problems and been the go-to one when something's wrong, like Lizzie always solves it. And
that's great.
Yeah, so just growing up kind of learned about psychology and solving people's problems, and this job fell into my lap and I was like, I want to work in the schools, and that's how it kind of came to be.
Good, and tell me you ski as well.
Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Then you're a perfect fit for the county.
Absolutely.
Lizzie, you're at Summit Middle School right now.
Summit Middle School and Snowy Peaks High School.
Great. Tell me a little bit just about your day-to-day responsibilities. What do you do to support and serve those students?
The day is very different. Every day is different. It can depend. Just today I was called in to check in with some students that were having a rough morning that kind of got into a bit of a fight yesterday, so checking in to see how they were going. It also can be to see how, to make sure there's certain kids on my caseload, checking in how they're doing.
Great.
And I'm still figuring out because it's still getting established in the school.
And just getting to know everyone.
Absolutely.
As well, it's a start of a new school year. There's a lot of students to meet as well as families.
Yep.
I know probably by, March, you'll have all the names down.
I hope so. Yeah.
Good luck.
Thank you.
And Kate Bateman,
Hi.
You've been with us now year 2 or 3 for you, Kate.
This is actually my first year as a school psychologist, but I interned in the district last year.
Great.
And I went to CU Denver, Colorado University, Denver, and finished out my year here last year interning, and this job came open and I applied for it, and so very lucky to be here and join Lizzie this year as 2 new school psychologists.
That's great. We're so happy to have you, and
Thank
certainly
you.
appreciated your work from last year.
Thank you.
And Kate, you're serving 2 of our elementary schools, Breckenridge Elementary, Upper Blue, and then the high school as well.
As the high school, yes.
Tell us a little bit about your roles and responsibilities.
Sure. Well, as Lizzie said, it's very different day to day. At the high school, I do a lot more kind of crisis management. So if someone comes with a problem, I'm the first person they pretty much come to talk to. At the elementary level, I work more with students, and at the high school level, students with disabilities, and making sure they have the correct programming for the classes and pretty much just, their needs in general.
Good. Yeah, I can imagine, given we are a small school district, that you probably wear many hats during the day.
Yes.
Lizzie, tell us a little bit about some of the group support that goes on at the middle school, some of the groups that come together that the students are a part of.
Yeah, so one group is a group kind of controlling some boys that I'm working with, controlling their impulses and anger. So when they get angry, noticing what those triggers are when they're angry.
Sure.
Which can be hard for a lot of us.
Yes.
So it's nice kind of talking it through with them and problem solving and how they're going to cope with it and those coping skills. And even for anxiety, what are some skills that we can learn for when we get anxious in a situation, some deep breathing, and putting that into the classroom.
Great. Good skills, stuff I probably still need today.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think it's great for me to learn too, like going through and teaching it with the boys as well, and even some other kids as well, so it's great.
That is good. Your comment about working with some students who had just had a fight the day before.
Yeah.
You know, we do have conflict, and just like anger, learning how to deal with that conflict in a healthy way and find the right social and emotional skills to deal with challenges early, I think certainly helps us as we grow up, and as we you know, find ourselves out in the real working world and having to, you know, be in a job where conflict and anger management are critical, knowing how to resolve a conflict and manage your anger. So great that we're doing that work now.
Absolutely. And yeah, you want to teach kids it's okay to receive some constructive criticism, and that, you know, it doesn't mean that it's bad that someone's saying, oh, maybe put this in your paper here, and it's not a bad thing.
Right. So, getting that coaching from teachers, and good.
Yeah.
Kate, are you running any groups at the high school or in the elementary schools?
I haven't yet this year, but as an intern, I was able to do some friendship building groups and some social skills groups with elementary age students, and just getting them kind of prepared. You know, some of the younger kids don't have all those skills that they need.
Right.
So being able to teach them proper social skills, kind of how to make friends and play on the playground together and that sort of thing. And then in the high school level, I was able to work with a group of boys who had some trouble with some organization and maybe some conflict as well. So just kind of helping them set goals and look towards the future of what they wanted to do with their lives. And
that's great. I know when we talk about bullying prevention, work that we're doing at all levels, you know, from preschool all the way into 12th grade, that pro-social skill building where students are learning exactly what you said, how to make friends, keep friends, how to deal with conflict or anger in a relationship, or just understanding, being empathetic. With other students when things aren't going right or going well.
Yes, all important things.
They are, yes.
Yeah.
I think if you read the Summit School District mission, there is a strong commitment to making sure that we are certainly focused on academics, but helping to develop caring learners.
Yeah.
That, you know, part of our focus is not just reading, writing, and math, but also how is that individual student, that whole child developing, and how can we make sure they're successful in their future.
Oh, absolutely.
So great to hear.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about what's going on this month. It is September, and while we're kicking it off, it's National Suicide Prevention Month. We will be doing a number of activities over the course of the month, talking a lot about resources and ways to support children.
Great.
But one thing we talked about at our school board meeting was the importance of keeping these resources and this information fresh for everyone all year long. That this really isn't, while we may heighten our awareness and talk about it more in September, it is something that's important to us and our kids and their safety from the start of the school year until the start of the next school year. So Lizzie, let's start a little bit. Just tell us, you know, what's going on, suicide prevention, what does that mean? And how might adults, whether it's teachers or parents, help kids that might have troubling behaviors?
Yeah. You know, being aware of those behaviors is a great thing. So some of those behaviors, it might be you notice that a student that you work with or maybe your own child is not as interested in activities that they used to be, take a lot of interest in. Maybe they're sleeping a lot more than usual or not sleeping as much. You know, maybe they're feeling hopeless and making comments that are like these comments that are like these terminal comments, like I'm just not going to be here anymore. I wish I wasn't here anymore. And those comments that sometimes teenagers can be very emotional. They might say these comments and you just kind of brush them off, but as they start piling up, these signs and behaviors can lead to something bigger underneath.
And what would be the right approach if my teen as a parent was expressing, saying some of those things or expressing a hopeless attitude or just depressed, what would you recommend I do?
Ask him, like, I've kind of noticed you've been doing some of these things lately, and I'm a little concerned about you, and I'd like to hear what's going on, and listen, really be empathetic, hear what's the kid's side of the story, and it might be something small for the kid, but you really want to address that it's okay and try and work through it with them.
Good. So certainly talking and listening.
Yes.
Two of the easiest things that any adult can do, not just a parent. Kate, what could a parent expect from the school if, say here at the high school, my teenager was, again, showing some of these signs? What could the school do to help support me and my student?
Of course. I mean, we're always available if they need to call us and express some of their concerns. Again, a lot of my job at the high school is crisis management, so I would be able to do a suicide assessment with a student. And
Tell me a little bit about that. What is a suicide assessment?
Sure. So basically, you're interviewing the child and asking them, him or her, if what they're feeling, if they're experiencing or thinking about suicide, and you don't want to be afraid of asking that question. I know it might be a misconception that if you ask the question, you're gonna put that thought in their head, but really that's not the case. You ask the question to get an honest answer from the student.
Good.
So there's kind of a whole checklist of things that we go over and then take to a team, and then the team works together to decide whether or not it's kind of a low risk or higher risk, and then from there we take the next action steps.
And what might that be?
So depending on the level of the threat, it could be anything from refer the student for counseling. We do have counselors and therapists at the school, including the school-based health clinic. Or if it's more of an extreme threat, we can call some of these outside community resources. We partner with Mind Springs, law enforcement, and even the hospital, depending on the severity of the situation, to get the kids the help they need immediately.
Good. I think it is important to emphasize that our student safety is absolutely the most important commitment we have during the day with these kids.
Correct.
And if a student were expressing threats of self-harm, we would take immediate action to make sure that they are safe and in the hands of experts. Certainly, as school psychologists, both of you bring that expertise to the table to be able to support those students, but we also know that sometimes it takes more and a collective effort, certainly getting the families involved as well.
Exactly.
So this is great to hear. And that assessment, is that the same type of thing that my doctor might do, or is that something unique to the schools?
There's probably bits and pieces that a doctor would also ask the similar questions, but I feel like in the school we have more interaction with the kids on a daily basis, whereas the doctor might see them once in a blue moon.
Sure.
So just with the team effort, I feel like we have a lot of different faces that know the student and can come together to really get a fuller picture of exactly, is this a threat, a serious one? Do we need to take action right this minute? Or is this something that, we refer out to a counselor, and maybe within a few sessions they can work through some of these feelings of depression or anxiety that's going on.
Good. Our hope is that a student never reaches this point, and that we are able to provide support and services along the way before it gets to the point of a student thinking of suicide or self-harm. Glad to know, however, that there are steps in place and the right people in place. We should mention as well that we do have a school psychologist servicing all of our other elementary schools. I did not bring that up. Robin Ackerman, who is our another terrific member of the team and has been with us quite a long time. And so for the first time now in a while, we have 3 psychologists in the district. So thank you both.
Thank you.
It's been great to have her here as well. In just a few minutes, we're going to talk about the resources available to families and community members when we talk about suicide. And we'll also talk about the importance of community partnerships and how the partners here in Summit County are helping us keep our kids safe and healthy. Hi, I'm Julie McCluskey with Summit School District, and we're talking today about behavioral and mental health and suicide prevention. I'm joined by Lizzie Savage, our school psychologist on one side of the district, and Kate Bateman, our school psychologist on the other side of the district. And we were just talking about signs that parents or community members can watch for if they have a concern about a youth, about a student who may be acting differently than they had before. Let's talk a little bit more about that. Lizzie, share some of the questions and things that you might use in identifying a student that may be thinking about suicide or self-harm.
Yeah, so I would want to ask the student exactly how they are feeling and what comment they made, or what was made, maybe if this is a comment that was made some other night before, or if do they feel like killing themselves, is straight asking them that.
Yeah, as we were talking with Kate, so important to use the word suicide when we talk to our kids to find out what they're thinking and what their plans may be.
Asking them if they have a plan is also very beneficial. Do they have access to drugs or alcohol or any other potentially harmful weapons or anything like that, and helping them feel safe. Other concerning things is the kid reckless? Do they have fluctuating moods? And hopefully if you know the kid, you might be able to tease that out a little bit. Maybe do they feel like they don't have a purpose anymore in life? And asking them some questions like that, really just kind of getting to know a broad idea of what's going on.
Yeah, that's great. Certainly I remember my own adolescence. A tough time developmentally for students, and we get that as they're growing and learning and experiencing new emotions, and a number of things come into play during those years. A lot of what you're saying makes sense. Let's talk a little bit about substance use and drugs, Kate. You're here at the high school. What are some of the things, what are some of the behaviors parents can watch for if they have concerns that their child is using, and what steps should a parent or community member take if they have concerns about a student?
So it's interesting with looking at drug use. Usually if your student is getting into something like that, they might be hiding things, or maybe staying out late, or just not acting exactly like they probably used to act. And maybe some of those symptoms of alcohol or drugs that they may be using, you just might see their mood change, or their personality maybe change. So it's helpful as a parent to, have the lines of communication open with their teen and be able to talk to them about some of these things, because it might be difficult, but it's helpful to know whether or not the student is, taking these drugs or alcohol, and whether or not they're masking some other emotional problem, like depression or anxiety, because a lot of times people self-medicate for these kind of mental illness or problems that they're having.
Do students that have thoughts of suicide ideation, are they more likely to use drugs or alcohol?
I don't really know that answer. Yeah.
Hard to know then.
Yeah.
There's no.
I don't know that answer either, but I don't believe so. It's such a high statistic to have many kids have suicidal ideation, but not as many act on it. And that's important to know.
That it's Yeah.
Just because you express that you want to kill yourself doesn't mean that you're going to.
I see.
But it's important to take it very seriously.
Regardless.
Right.
Regardless.
Either way. Okay.
Because it's a very scary thought and a very scary feeling for the student.
Certainly, and families.
Yes, yes.
You know, we love these kids, and if a student is expressing thoughts of self-harm, I think, you know, we all just want to make sure that student stays safe.
Exactly.
Stay safe, as we said earlier. Okay, so let's talk about some resources. Suicide Prevention Month, again, as we said, starts here in September, but we really want to make sure this information and resources are available to families all year long.
Yeah.
During the month, there is a Out of Darkness walk happening September 13th, sponsored by the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. First time that's been in Summit County, and very excited that we have school district students as well as staff participating. We also have a dialogue over breakfast coming up at the end of the month to talk with parents, families, community members about Safe to Tell and what that is, what that service is for kids. And I'm guessing both of you have are familiar with what Safe to Tell is. We certainly get our students using that hotline more so during the school year than the summer. But Kate, maybe just in your experience, what is Safe to Tell? You know, for our community at large, and how might a student use it?
Sure. Well, it's a hotline that a student can call when and if in a crisis, or not, if they just need someone to talk to or tell what's going on.
Right.
It's confidential, and anything. We have rules of confidentiality in our profession, so we keep everything confidential unless a student says they're going to harm themselves or others. So I'm assuming it's the same with Safe to Tell.
Yes.
But there is a phone number.
1-877-542-7233. I get to advertise that number a lot. Memorize that one by heart.
Yeah, and we do have little ads posted around the school, and we have little business cards too that students have access to if they need to feel like they need to pick up the phone and talk to someone about what's going on.
That's great. Yes, and it is, I think, the important part of Safe to Tell is that it is a confidential, anonymous tip line.
Yes.
And really came out of the Colorado legislature after the Columbine High School tragedy. And I think it has been a terrific tool for us. Students have called not only about suicide, but bullying. When they have concerns for a friend, if they have witnessed a crime, theft, vandalism, or if they have concerns about drug use, drugs on campus, or that a student is using. So the reports that have come in, they are, when a student makes a call, they are sent to the state dispatch, who then notifies law enforcement in Summit County, and then school district emergency staff and leadership are made aware. Not, again, of the student's name who's called the report in, but just of the incident or the issue, so they can take action. And Safe to Tell, really important, valuable mode of communication for our kids and our families. Parents are welcome to call Safe to Tell as well. There's also a national suicide tip line. Talk about that, Lizzie.
It's a 24-hour suicide hotline that parents, families can call if you're feeling suicidal, you don't feel like you have someone to talk to. Someone will always be on the line to answer the phone. And I have that number as well.
Great.
That is 1-800-273-TALK. And so that's 1-800-273-8255.
Great.
Yeah, and they also have people that can talk to you in English and in Spanish. So if you call that number and you need to speak to someone in Spanish, they can transfer you to someone. And that's also confidential as well.
Does that hotline have a text? Is there also a text service?
I'm not sure.
I'll have to check on that. I know that is certainly another way our teens are communicating, and having text services are available. There is one other and very important local crisis line, Mind Springs Health. And why don't we talk a little bit about our community partners. Mind Springs Health, our local behavioral and mental health provider, a great ally for us and our families when things happen. Talk a little bit, Kate, about Mind Springs and their crisis line, what services they can provide.
Sure. We partner with Mind Springs when there is a crisis, and we are able to refer our students to Mind Springs. They're open, I believe, Monday through Friday. And they have psychiatrists, social workers, therapists, and you are able to set up or I think they have a walk-in policy. You do a walk-in appointment, and then they will refer you out to who they think is the best fit for you.
Great.
And then there's also a crisis line, 1-888-207-4004.
Great.
So if you're not at the school and we can't partner up, you'd be able to call that number if you have a crisis.
And 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and also bilingual English and Spanish.
Correct.
Another great service. I do want to talk about two of our other community partners that are just critical in our work to deliver behavioral and mental health services to students. One is Advocates for Victims of Assault. And they are a local agency that support victims of domestic violence and sexual assault, but they also support our students with completely free crisis intervention services. So if a student has expressed thoughts of suicide, our partners at Advocates can connect that student and family directly to a therapist at the time of the event, and provide a number of free sessions for the student and family, which I think is incredibly valuable. And then there's probably near and dear to all of our hearts, our school-based health centers that are right here in our buildings. And we can't emphasize enough what a wonderful group of people they are. We have therapists who work in the school-based health centers and provide a variety of behavioral and mental health support for students and families. And the best thing is the student can visit them during their school day. They don't miss a lot of school. They can get right back to class. Families as well. And this year, I know at the high school, we've even expanded some of those services. Can you speak to those, Kate?
Sure. I don't know that much about it, but I know we have a couple of, maybe 2 or 3 counselors over there in the high school and the clinic, and we refer out to them all the time. They're great.
Yes.
They're willing to work with the student in multiple sessions, and I know they accept most insurances, and if not, they work on a sliding scale.
Great. That's important so that all families. And we have bilingual therapists available in our school-based health centers as well. Again, making sure that all students, regardless of background or culture or language, have access to support. Great. Anything else that I have forgotten to mention around resources or supports that families and students might find here in the district?
We did put together a list last year of community therapists for elementary age private therapists.
Great.
So elementary age, teenager, and family/adult. So we do have access, both Lizzie and I, to those, and we have mentioned whether or not they're bilingual as well. So it's all their updated information, phone numbers, hours, etc.
So if a family was looking for a private therapist to start working with, they could contact either of you at your schools and talk to you about what that might look like and who would be a good partner for them.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Good. Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both. You know, it's not always the easiest topic, but it is so important that we continue to keep our kids safe and we look out for their well-being as they grow into young adults. If you need more information on the services that Summit School District provides to students and families, please visit our website at summit.k12.co.us or call your local school and ask to visit with your school psychologist. Hopefully, you'll be connected with either Lizzie, Kate, or Robin, who's not with us today, and they'll be able to provide you with the support that you need to make sure that your student is safe. Thank you.